Right, hello everybody. Today we're going to learn about how to expand and simplify algebraic expressions involving fractions. So just like your addition and subtraction of negative numbers, the knowledge of the basic rules of multiplication is very important. We'll revise a bit about this later on. Okay, and in order to simplify the algebraic expressions, right, you also need to know how to apply your distributive law correctly. Okay, so we have to be consistent when we're applying our distributive law. Right, so let's take a look at the revision of the multiplication rules. Okay, we have 4 multiplication rules. Right, so let's say I take a positive number, multiply by a positive number, it will end up with a positive number. Example, 6 times 8 will give us 48. You can verify this using a calculator. Right? And similarly, for positive number multiplied by a negative number, it will give us a negative number. So example, 6 times negative 8 will give us negative 48. Similarly, negative times positive will give us a negative value. So negative 6 times positive 8 will give us negative 48. And lastly, negative times negative will give us positive. So for example, negative 6 times negative 8 will give us positive 48. Now these multiplication rules, even though they apply for negative numbers, or I mean the numbers in general, they also apply to algebra. That is why we need multiplication rules in order for us to simplify our expansions. Now next we need to understand what exactly distributive rule means. Right? So when we're looking at distributive rule, right, let's say we look at this question for example. If we need to expand this, what do? We'll take the number in front of the brackets and we'll multiply it to all the terms that are inside the bracket. Okay, so 2 multiplied by positive x will end up with 2x. Then we take the same 2, we multiply by positive y. We'll end up with 2y. Okay, take the same 2, we multiply to z. We end up with 2z. So what does distributive rule means? Okay, eventually it just means, right, whatever that's in front of the brackets is equally being distributed or multiplied out to all the terms that are inside the brackets. Okay, this is the meaning of distributive rule. That means we distribute 2 to x, to y, as well as to z, all to all of them, and we'll end up with 2x plus 2y plus 2z. Okay, that's the meaning of distributive rule. Okay, let's take a look at another example. Okay, now let's look at this. Negative, open bracket, a minus b plus c minus d, close bracket. Okay, so if we want to apply distributive rule, we need to know what is the value in front of the bracket. Okay, now when there's no number in front of a bracket, it means that it's a value of 1. So eventually you are actually multiplying negative 1 to a, negative 1 to negative b, negative 1 to c, and negative 1 to negative d. Alright, let's look at how to do it. So let's say I want to expand it now. I will distribute negative 1 to a. Negative times positive will give us negative. Okay, so you'll end with negative a. Okay, that's our first term. Okay, then we move on. Negative 1 multiplied by negative b. Okay, we distribute it to negative b. So negative 1 times negative b, negative times negative is positive. We write plus b. Okay, next we move on again. We go back to negative 1. Negative 1 is being distributed to c. So negative times positive give us negative. And we end up with negative c. And the final one, negative 1 distributed to negative d. Right, so how does it work? Negative 1 times negative d, negative times negative is positive. We write a plus d. Right, and this is how we apply our distributive law. Are you clear about this? Right, so having understood what is the meaning of distributive law and knowing all your basic multiplication rules, we'll go on to some examples now. Okay, so take a look at this question. Okay, first of all, we need to apply our distributive rules. Okay, so we will distribute 2/3 to 6a, 2/3 to 9b, 2/3 to negative 3c. So we'll distribute the 2/3 to all these 3 numbers. Okay. Next, we'll apply our multiplication rules. Okay, so positive times negative will give us positive. Okay, so positive, we don't need to write a plus, we'll just leave it there. Okay, now we are dealing with fraction now. So what we'll do is we can use our calculator. We'll take 2/3 multiplied by 6. So if you press your calculator, 2/3 multiplied by 6, you get 4. Okay, but because this is an algebraic expression, so there's an a here, right? So you just write an a here. Okay, so 2/3 times 6a will give us 4a. In your calculator, you just press the numbers. Okay, but when you write down the answer, you follow it with the a here. So this will give us 4a. Okay, now we look at the second expansion now. 2/3 distributed to 9b. So again, think of your basic rules, basic multiplication rules. So 2/3 times 9, positive times positive is positive. So you write a plus here. Okay, then using your calculator, 2/3 times 9, you'll get 6. Right, then we write down the 6, and there's a b here. We follow it with a b. Right, so that's how we get the 6b here. Okay, then finally we look at the last one. 2/3 is being distributed to negative 3c. Okay, we apply our basic multiplication rules first. So positive times negative will give us negative. Write down minus first. Okay, after that 2/3 times 3. Okay, this one you can use your calculator. So 2/3 times 3 will give us 2. So you write a 2 there. And finally, we follow with the c here. Alright, so this will be how we expand a simple question using distributive law. Are you clear about this? Alright, next we take a look at another example where it involves the expansion of 2 distributive law. Right? So notice that there's a plus in between the sets of brackets now. Okay? We only apply distributive law when we see brackets, okay, after a number. So we only apply distributive law to half, okay, to x and negative y. Okay, that's all we will apply to. And for the second term, we'll apply 1/3, we'll distribute it to 2x and negative 5y. So in between here, right, the half do not distribute to 2x because they are separate terms, right? So when you are applying a distributive law, just be very careful, okay? Only apply it to the immediate brackets that's after the number. Okay, so we're going to do that now. So half is going to be distributed to x, half is going to be distributed to negative y. Okay, same thing, 1/3 is going to be distributed to 2x, 1/3 is going to be distributed to negative 5y, right? So get this clear first. Now, once we have gotten the distributive rules clearly distributed out, we're going to apply our basic multiplication rules. So again, positive times positive, we will end up with positive, we don't need to write anything here. Half times x, we'll end up with half x. So we just write a half x here. Okay. Now the next thing, again, half is being distributed to negative y. So what we'll do now is we'll take positive times negative, we'll end up with minus. So write a minus first. Okay. Then half times negative 1. Okay, when there's no number in front of y, it means it's a 1 here. So half times negative 1, you can use a calculator or just mental calculation, it will give you half. Right? So this one will be half. And we follow the y here. Right? So half times negative y will end up with negative half y. Okay. Now we move on to the third expansion. So now we will have 1/3 is being distributed to 2x. Okay, so positive times positive gives us positive, right? A plus here first. Okay, then 1/3 times 2 will give us 2/3. Okay, you can use your calculator and calculate, and the x just follows. Okay, and then the last distribution, 1/3 is being distributed to negative 5y. So positive times negative gives us negative. Write down the minus first. Okay, and then 1/3 times 5, you'll get 5 out of 3. Okay, and the y just follow. Right, so this will be how we get the expansion here. Okay, so notice that there are no more brackets here, and in between my two terms is only purely a single plus or a single minus. I do not have plus plus, I do not have plus minus, I do not have minus minus, I do not have minus plus. Okay, because if in between two terms, I can only have one operator. Okay, if I have more than one operator, it's considered an disallowed operators, and we don't write in that manner. Okay, I'll just show you what I mean. So let's say I have half x plus minus half y. Now this is not allowed. Okay, so do not write your algebraic expressions in this manner. Now, to continue the question, right, we need to rearrange our terms. And when we rearrange our terms, right, we'll group the like terms together. What are like terms? Like terms are just items which are the same. Okay, so x and x, they are the same group. They are called like terms. Y and y, they are also the same group. They are also called like terms. So we'll group only like terms together. And how do we actually rearrange them? Okay, we'll observe the sign. Okay, that's on the left side of every term. So the left side of every term, we'll shift it together. So the sign for half x is positive. The sign for half y is negative. The sign for 2/3 x is positive. The sign for 5/3 y is negative. When we rearrange together with the sign on the left side. Okay, let's do a rearrangement now. So now we'll have half x plus 2/3 x minus half y minus 5/3y. Okay, so that's how we do a rearrangement. We always look out for the terms on the signs on the left side. Okay, so we rearrange. Now finally, you need to add the like terms together. Okay, so add only the like terms. I'll add x with x, y with y, that's all. Okay, I don't add the whole set of numbers and then I lump them together as x, y, that's not correct. Okay, so just focus on x and x. So this one you can just use your calculator. Just key in half plus 2/3. Okay, follow exactly what you see here. So half plus 2/3. And if you key in your calculator, you'll get 1 and 1/6. Okay, because it belongs to x, we'll write an x here. Right? The next thing that you'll do is you key in your calculator, negative half minus 5/3. Okay, so again do the same thing. Be careful about the negative sign though. Okay, so usually students may forget the negative sign. They will key in half minus 5/3 and that will give them a wrong answer. So be careful of what you key in. Right? So key in negative half minus 5/3. And once you've keyed in, you get negative 2 and 1/6. Just write minus 2 and 1/6. Then because it belongs to y, you write a y here. Okay, so whatever you see in the calculator, you just write it down exactly what you see. And this is how you solve this question. Right? Are you clear about this now? Alright, next we look at the harder question. Now in this question, notice that there are brackets within the brackets. Okay, we call this nested brackets. And in math, right, we always work from the inner brackets, then we go outside. Right? So for this question, you need to work on the inner brackets first. Distribute the 2 and negative 5 to the inner brackets. And once you're done with the inner brackets, you'll distribute 3/4 to the outer bracket. Okay, so we'll work on the inner brackets for this question first. Right? So 2 is being distributed to 4a, 2 is being distributed to negative b. Okay, same thing. Negative 5 is being distributed to a, negative 5 is being distributed to negative 2b. Okay. Now when you write down the answer, right, you just copy down whatever you have. Okay, so 3/4 time with the open bracket, you just copy down whatever you have until you are starting with your distribution. Right? So before your distribution, you just copy down exactly what you see, and this will be what we have. Right? Now we apply our basic multiplication rules. Positive times positive is positive, right? So it will be the same. 2 times 4 is 8, and there's an a here, so our answer for this expansion will be 8a. Okay, we continue. Okay, positive times negative, we get negative, so right now a minus. Okay, 2 times 1 is 2, and there's a b here, so you get 2b. Right? Okay, we continue. Right? Negative times positive is negative, we write a minus here. 5 times 1, okay, there's no number in front of a, that's why it's 1, so 5 times 1 is 5, and there's an a here, so 5a. Right? And the last one, negative times negative is positive, write down a plus here. Okay, and 5 times 2 is 10, so we have 10 followed by a b. Close the bracket. Right? So this will be how you do the first set of expansion. Right? Okay with this? Right, now next we will distribute the 3/4 to all the remaining terms inside the square bracket. Okay, so we apply the same thing, we distribute to all the terms first. Okay, so 3/4 being distributed to AA, positive times positive is positive. Okay, 3/4 times 8, if you press a calculator, you get 6. Okay, so we write down 6 and it's A, so we just write down 8. Okay, so that's the first expansion. Now the second expansion, positive times negative, you get negative, write down minus. Okay, 3/4 times 2, we end up with 3/2. So just write down 3/2 and it belongs to B, so we just write B here. Okay, the third distribution, 3/4 is being distributed to negative 5A. Positive times negative is negative. Write down minus first. Okay, then 3/4 times 5, we'll end up with 15/4. You can just use your calculator for this. Okay, it belongs to A, so write A. Okay, and the last expansion, positive times positive is a plus. So write down a plus. Okay, 3/4 times 10, we get 15/2. Okay, belongs to B, so write down a B here. Okay, next we will rearrange our terms. Okay, just remember the sign belongs to the left side. Alright, so 6A is positive, 3/2B is negative, 15/4A is negative, 15/2B is positive. Rearrange our terms. Group A together, group B together. So 6A minus 15/4A minus 3/2B plus 15/2B. Right, so rearrange it. Now this part here we can just use a calculator now. So 6 minus 15/4, we'll end up with 2 1/4 A. Okay, and then negative 3/2 plus 15/2, we'll end up with 6B plus 6B. Okay, so when your calculator don't show the plus, it means it's a plus, right? So when you write down your answer, it will be 2 1/4 A plus 6B, and this will be your final answer. Can I get about this? Okay, so just to sum up, whenever you're doing some algebraic expansion, okay, you need to be clear about the distributive law. And distributive law just means you are distributing the number in front of a bracket to all the terms inside the bracket. Okay, now if it's two separate brackets in this example here, right, then we cannot distribute the 3/4 all the way inside here. Okay, it is actually wrong. Okay, what we should be doing is we should actually do the inner brackets first, and once you're done with the inner brackets, then you continue with the outer brackets. Okay? Don't be in a rush to multiply this 3/4 to the inner brackets. You'll end up with a very messy working. Right? So always remember, if we have the nested brackets, work with the inner brackets first, then you work with the outer brackets. Okay, and along the way when you're applying your distributive law, right, just make sure that you apply your multiplication rules as well. So positive times positive is positive, positive times negative is negative, negative times positive is negative, negative times negative is positive. And once you are clear, just rearrange the terms, follow the signs on the left side, and after that, just use your calculator and you can simplify the answer. Right? So that's all for today's lesson. Hope you have enjoyed. We'll see you next time.